All right, Module 9 homework 1. We're talking about a slope with a line. So in this section, we're going to find the slope. We're going to determine how the line slants based off of our slope. We're going to come up with the equation of the line. We're going to find the slope in the Y-intercept, vertical, horizontal lines. We're graphing, using function notation, parallel, perpendicular, neither. All that good stuff. So with that being said, we did graphing lines our first test. So how can you describe a line? Thinking about a straight line. If it's not straight, by the way, it's considered a curve in math. So if it's not straight, it's a curve. So think of a straight line. How would you describe it? How would you describe it?
Top to bottom, left to right.
Okay, top to bottom, left to right. So you're talking about domain and range? Okay. Sure?
Sure.
Okay. So there's a domain and a range. There's x and y values. Okay, what else?
There's no points.
What?
Keep on going, there's no points.
Okay, keeps on going forever. In both directions. What else? What else? If you were to explain to someone what a line is, what would you say? Outside of class. It's straight. So you're saying it's straight. So as in,
Not crooked.
not crooked. It's not crooked. Okay. What else? So if it's straight, if it's not crooked. Something like that. If it's straight, if it's not crooked, something like that. So in order for it to be a straight line, for it not to be crooked, for it not to be like jagged, not to be wavy, not to be hilly, what must happen? What's going on in order to make it straight?
Having 2 points.
Okay, there's 2 points. So going from one point to the next, to the next, to the next, what must happen in order to make it straight?
Has to be the same direction.
The same direction. Okay, so to get from one point to the next, it'd have to change the same way to get to the next point, change the same way to get to the next point. So we have to have a constant,
Rise and run.
yeah, rise or run, constant slope. Ding, 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 ding. So a constant change from one point to the next. So what is that change again from one point to the next that you said? Slope. So we have a constant change. We have a constant slope.
What if it has no slope?
What is it?
What if it has no slope?
What if it has no slope? So that means it has no slope from every single point. We're going to get there. Keep that in mind. So with that being said, we talk about slope. Slope is the change to get from one point to the next. So we've dealt with slope before in this class, and I know you've done it before coming to this class. So what would be another way if you were outside of a math class and you're trying to explain to someone, what is the slope? What does that mean? What's another word for slope? The angle. Okay, what else? Help me out. What's another word for slope?
Identifies whether the slope is 0 or
Okay, just what's another word for slope? You're getting a little deep here. Looking at this, we said that's like the angle of the line. What's another word for angle of a line? If you're going, what? The direction. Okay, the direction the line's going. What else?
M.
M. Okay, M. But like, but not mathy. I'm trying to think like not mathy. Like if you were going skiing, you know, I've only been skiing once and I was terrible at it. But the, like, you know how they did like the bunny slope and then like green and then I think it went like yellow and then blue and then the black diamond. No, okay, we're in Florida. So, like they rate the hardness of the slopes. Oh,
Depth. No, it's
What?
not the depth.
okay, you're close. You're close.
I can't think of
Okay,
it
what I'm
all
hearing you
right
say is
now.
the incline, right?
Yeah, the incline.
Yeah, that's what I heard
couldn't
you
think
say.
what it was.
So the incline, why I'm using red, I don't know. The incline or the tilt of the line, or the steepness. So if you're going to go skiing on a slope, this is really dumb, but I never really put two and two together, how you're like, oh, I'm going to go hit the slopes. I mean, I don't know, but I never see. And it was called slope. I never put two and two together. Anyways, that's what I get for being from Florida. I don't know. All right, anyways, so the level of hardness, the level of difficulty on the ski slopes are based on the incline or the tilt of the mountain, right? So if like me, I'm going on a bunny slope, it's not going to be a very steep mountain, right? Or if it is very steep, I'm going to go on my butt the whole way down. So we've mentioned the word slope. We talked about M, that we, instead of writing out slope every time, we're going to abbreviate it to the letter M. I also heard rise over run. We talked about you have to have a constant change. So another word for slope is the average rate of change. So change is y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. My y values are changing divided by my x values are changing. We have how much are we changing and how much time. So these are all formulas that, yes, you will need to know for the test. We have to use different formulas depending on the different context of the problem. So we have different types of slope. A slope could be a positive. By the way, slope's just a number. Just a number. So we can have a positive slope. So going from left to right, our graph is going upward because we read from left to right. We have a negative slope going from left to right. Our graph is going downward. Our line's going downward, so we'll have a negative slope. A slope of 0 means that it's horizontal. And an undefined slope means that it's vertical. Everyone mixes this up. So if you understand what's really going on behind the scenes, it will help you to realize which one is which. So if we know slope is rise over run, looking at this horizontal line, how much is this line rising? How much is it going up and down? 0. How much is it running? How much is it going left and right? Continuously, infinitely. So 0 divided by infinity, 0 divided by any number. 0. Boom. Same thing over here for this vertical line. If our slope is rise over run.
Infinity over 0.
Perfect. It's going up and down for an infinity. And our run from left to right is 0. So infinity divided by 0. What is infinity divided by 0 or any number divided by 0? Undefined. Your calculator will say error. So it's undefined, so we have an undefined slope. So if we don't have to memorize it, if we figure out what's going on behind the scenes, nothing to memorize. Also, another little hint that's always helped me, maybe it'll help you, is slope of 0. There's 2 O's in horizontal. O is just like 0. There's no O in vertical. That's how I remember it. But I'm weird. All right, so that is all about slopes, lines, all that good stuff. Questions for me so far? How can I help you? Questions for me so far? If not, let's do an example. It says find the slope of the line that goes through these two given points, -2, 8, and 4, 4. So they give us 1 point, -2, 8. I'm going to label this as x1, y1. And our second point, I'm going to label as x2, y2. So up here we had our formula for slope. Mathematicians are efficient. So instead of writing the word slope out every time, we use the letter M. Our formula was y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Help me out. What's our y2 value? 4 minus y1. 8, thank you, all over x2. 4, thanks.
4.
Minus x1,
Negative
-2, perfect. Those two negatives, what happens? Becomes positive, so 4 minus 8, all over 4 plus 2. Those two negatives become a positive. 4 minus 8 is -4, all over 4 plus 2 is
6.
6. Simplifying -4 over 6. -2/3. Good, they both have a GCF. They both have a common factor of 2. So we're going to factor or divide out that 2 from the top and the bottom. So we get our slope is -2/3. That's it.
Did we already take this earlier in the semester?
Yes, where have you been? We've talked about this 3 times. It was on the first test.
No, I took this millions of times in my life. I mean, this semester.
Right, it was on test 1. I'll show you what we're doing it again. All right, I want you to try the next one by yourself. Find the slope, -1, -9, 7, -5. Find the slope between those 2 points. Find the slope between those 2 points. All right, looking to see what you did. Looking to see what we're going to do together on the board. Plugging into our y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1 formula.
I give the full.
Thank you. You're right. Thank you. We plugged in our values for x2, x1, y2, y1. 2 negatives become positive. We're left with 4 over 8. 4 over 8 simplifies down to 1/2. So looking to see what you did, looking to see what we did together. Questions, comments, concerns for me? Questions, comments, concerns for me? If not, let's go on to the next page. So just refreshing our memory again, what is the y-intercept of the line?
That's where the line crosses the y-axis.
Perfect. It's the point where the line crosses the y-axis. So for a y-intercept, what's the ordered pair? Perfect. So 0, comma, whatever y is, we usually use a letter b. So our x value is always 0 for our y-intercept. So it's 0, comma, whatever b is. X is always 0 in order to hit the y-axis. So with that, putting that all together, we have our slope-intercept form of our line. You will also need to know this for the test. You're good? So slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. M is the slope. B is the y-intercept. Remember, our y-intercept is the point 0, comma, b. So it asks us to find the slope and the y-intercept of the following line. So 3x minus 10y equals negative 19. Just by looking at this, could I see what the slope and the y-intercept are? No, we have to put it into slope-intercept form. We have to put it into slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So I'm trying to solve for a y to get y by itself. How do I do that? Subtract 3x from both sides. Thank you. So we have negative 10y equals, I want to put that negative 3x up front because I want it to be mx plus b. So negative 3x minus 19. Perfect, thank you. Getting y by itself, we're going to divide both sides by negative 10. I'm dividing the left whole side by negative 10, so the right whole side needs to be divided by negative 10. So both terms on both sides of the equation. So I can rewrite this as y equals negative 3x divided by negative 10 minus 19 over negative 10. Simplifying, y equals negative 3 divided by negative 10. Perfect. Both the negatives cancel each other out. And we are left with positive 3 over 10x. Same thing, negative 19 divided by negative 10. What cancels out? The two negatives become a positive again. So plus 19 over 10. There's nothing that 19 and 10 have in common, so we cannot simplify any further. So thankfully we have it in our slope-intercept form of y equals mx plus b. So our last step is just to identify and say, okay, which one is the slope and what is our y-intercept? So what is our slope? 3 over 10, thank you. And lastly, our y-intercept. 19 over 10. Good. Remember, our y-intercept, though, is the point. So we have to label it as the point, 0, comma, b. So 0, comma, 19 over 10. So those are our two answers. It's a point, the point that crosses the y-axis, so we have to label it as a point. Pausing for a second before moving on. Questions, comments, or concerns for me? All right, if not, let's go on to the next one. We have to find the slope of y equals negative 11. Y equals negative 11. What is the line of y equals negative 11? What does the graph of that look like?
Horizontal.
Horizontal, good. So it's horizontal through negative 11. Let's pretend this is negative 11. So it's a horizontal line. So if it's a horizontal line, our slope is rise or run. How much is our graph rising, going up and down?
0.
0. How much is it going left and right, running?
11. -11.
Okay, -11 or infinity. It's going on forever. Yeah, you can use -11 there. That's fine too. So 0 over any number. 0. Another way to think about this is our equation is y equals -11. Our slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So if I were to rewrite this, I'd have y equals -11. I don't have an x term. If there's nothing there, it'll be 0 times x. 0 times x is 0. 0 minus 11 is -11. So that's another way to think about it. Another way to think about it.
You have to write that as a point?
No, it's the slope.
No, the y.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can. That's your equation for the line, but it just asks us to just to find the slope. We don't have to find our y-intercept on this one. But yes, you're right. We would have to write it as 0, -11. Same thing for the next one. Y plus 3 equals 0. Let's solve for x. There's not y to solve for here, so let's solve for x. How would I do that? Subtract 3 from both sides, thank you. So we're left over with x equals -3. So similar to the first one, what would this graph look like?
Vertical.
Vertical, good. Vertical going through, x equals -3. So for this one, what is our rise? Yeah.
Infinity.
Right, infinity, it's going on forever, up and down. So infinity. Run, going left and right. 0. Infinity, any number divided by 0. Undefined. Another way to think about this, slope-intercept form. There's not a y value here, so it cannot be put into this form. So x plus 3 equals 0 cannot be put into slope-intercept form. So that's how you know it's undefined. So that's how we know it's undefined. Questions for me? Questions, comments, concerns for me?
The one before this, when you answer it, should it be 0 or should it be 0 dash -11?
It's just asking for the slope. The slope is a number.
Okay, so it's just 0.
Yeah, just 0. The y-intercept is the point that crosses the y-axis, so because it's a point, we have to label it as an ordered pair, 0, comma, whatever. All right, any other questions? If not, next page. Next page. So graphing, again, review, graphing, graph the line y equals -3x minus 2. Is this in slope-intercept form for us? Yes, so they helped us out a lot for once. Y equals mx plus b. So looking at this, what is our slope? -3, which we can rewrite as -3 over 1. So our rise is -3 and our run is 1. Rise, remember, goes up and down. So if our rise is -3, what does that mean? We're going down 3. If our run is positive 1,
Right.
we're going to go to the positive direction, so to the right 1 unit. With that being said, what's our y-intercept? Perfect. Our y-intercept, our b value is -2, which you can rewrite as the ordered pair 0, -2. This is the only point that we have, so this is the first point we're going to plot. This is going to be our starting point. So starting at 0, -2. Starting at over 0, down -2, hitting -2 on our y-axis. From this point, we said we're going to go down 3, right 1. So down 1, 2, 3, right 1. If you want to keep going, we can do that again. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1. And then connecting our dots. There is our line. So we went down 3, and then we went right 1. Down 3, right 1. From our y-intercept, that's our starting point. That says right.
I was saying with the school you drew.
Oh, the squiggly
Signs,
thing?
it was the
Yeah.
dollar sign.
Because I was looking at you, I was like. Other questions? Other questions? So if not, let's do the next one.
The slope is like 3x minus 2. So 3 over 1, that would represent which part again? -3. Where does 1 come from?
Okay, so our slope is only the -3, right? So I can rewrite -3 as a fraction, so that way I can see rise over run. -3 is the same thing as saying -3 over +1, because -3 divided by +1 is just -3. Thank you for asking me. You're welcome. Other questions? All right, let's do another one. We have to graph the line 4x plus 2y equals 8. Is this in slope-intercept form for me? No, so we have to put it in slope-intercept form. Which is y equals mx plus b. So I want to solve for y to get y by itself. Solve for y to get y by itself. So what would be our first step to solve for y to get y by itself? Subtract 4x from both sides. Thank you. So a 4x minus 4x goes to 0, cancels out. We're left over with 2y equals -4x plus 8. Remember, I want it to be mx plus b, so I want it to be in that order. My 4 is negative, my 8 is positive, so make sure to keep your signs right. Outside of the 4x is a negative, outside of the 8 is a positive. No matter what order you write it in. Lastly, getting y by itself. Divide by 2, thank you. So that way 2 divided by 2 goes to 1 and cancels out. We're dividing the left whole side by 2. That means we're going to divide the right whole side by 2. So every single term on both sides gets divided by 2. We're left over with y equals -4x over 2 plus 8 over 2, which can be simplified. -4 divided by 2
2x.
Negative 2x plus
4.
4. Thank you. 8 divided by 2 will give us 4. So thankfully now it is in slope-intercept form of y equals mx plus b. So now I can easily see my slope. I could easily see my y-intercept. So help me out. What is our slope? What is our m value?
2x,
Negative 2. Just negative 2. Just the number. Just the m. I can rewrite negative 2 as what fraction? Negative 2 over 1. So that means it's rise over run. So if I'm rising going up and down, negative 2, what does that mean? Down 2. And it's positive 1. I'm running left and right, so which way should I go? In the positive direction. Yep, to the right 1. So I'm going down 2 and right 1. So I need to have a point where I could start off to go down 2, right 1. So my starting point is my y-intercept, which is the point 0, comma b. So in this case, it's 0, comma 4. Perfect. Remember, this is the point that we're going to start with. It's our only point that we have to plot. Our starting point is 0, 4. So over 0, up 4, hitting 4 on our y-axis. That's going to be our starting point. From that starting point, we're going to go down 2, right 1. I have 2 points. I can now connect the dots, and we're done. So we went down 2. We went to the right 1. How can I help you? What questions, comments, or concerns do you have for me? Thank you very much. And your back, don't forget.
That's kind of important.
Yes, kind of important. See ya. You're welcome. Other questions? If not, next page. So last page for this section. Last page asks us to determine whether the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Before we can answer this question, I need to see what is it asking. If it's parallel, perpendicular, or neither. What does it mean for two lines to be parallel?
Never intersecting.
Never intersecting. What else?
Having the same slope.
Having the same slope because they have the same steepness. So they have the same steepness, the same incline, the same tilt. So same slope. For two lines to be perpendicular, what does that mean? They intersect how? What? Close.
The x.
Close.
This is 9 degrees.
At 90 degrees, right. So they're hitting at 90 degrees at a right angle. So they have to hit at a right angle, intersect at a right angle. So in order to intersect at a right angle, what must happen for our slopes?
They have to be opposites.
Opposite, what else? So opposite means opposite signs. One's positive, one's negative. What else? Something else must happen. Opposite, reciprocal, good. Opposite reciprocal slopes. Reciprocal means you flip the fraction. So for example, if one slope is 1/2, then our perpendicular slope will be -2/1, which is -2. This one's positive, our perpendicular slope is negative. If it's 1/2, we're going to flip it and it's now 2/1. So one's positive, one's negative, and they're flipped. They're reciprocals. I didn't forget that first one. Come back to it. All right, so going back to this first example, decide whether they're parallel, which we know is the same slope now. Perpendicular, we know is opposite reciprocal slopes, or if they don't fit either condition, then it's going to be neither one of them. So if we have y equals 5x plus 2 and y equals 5x minus 3, are these in slope-intercept form? Yes, they're already in y equals mx plus b form for us. So looking at the first one, what is our slope? Yeah, just 5, just our m, just 5. Looking at our second one, what's our slope, our second equation? 5. So we notice they're the same slope. So what does that mean?
They're parallel.
They're parallel, thank you. Same slope, so parallel. One time another student, I never really thought about this either, I thought it was pretty cool. Parallel, notice these two L's are parallel in the word parallel. It's like, ooh, nice.
Wait, is that for people who don't know what parallel means?
Yeah, or to forget parallel perpendicular. To determine between parallel perpendicular. Are you ready for the next one? Going down to our next example. Decide again whether they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. What does f of x mean? Y. F of x is the same thing as y. So thankfully they already put it in y equals mx plus b form for us. So for our first f of x equals negative 9x plus 9, what is our slope? Negative 9, thank you. For our second one, we have g of x. What does g of x mean? Y, same thing as y. So g of x equals 1/9 x plus b. So thankfully this one's also in slope-intercept form for us. So what is our second slope? Yeah, positive 1/9. So we see they're opposite reciprocals. One's positive, one's negative. One is 9, which is 9/1. The other one's flipped and is now 1/9. So we say they're opposite reciprocals. So we know they're perpendicular. So we know they're perpendicular. They're opposite reciprocals, so we know they're going to be perpendicular. Next one, decide whether they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. I have negative 10x plus 2y equals 5. Is this in slope-intercept form for me? No, so first I have to put it in a slope-intercept form. So 10x plus 2y equals 5. I need to put this into y equals mx plus b form. How do I do that? Add 10x to both sides. Thank you. So that way negative 10x plus 10x goes to 0 and they cancel out. We're left over with 2y equals 10x plus 5. Remember, I want it to be an mx plus b form, so I'm going to put that x term first. Last but not least, getting y by itself. Divide by 2. Good. So that way 2 divided by 2 goes to 1. They cancel each other out. So we're left with y equals positive 10x divided by 2 plus 5 over 2, which we can rewrite as y equals 10 divided by 2. 5x plus 5 over 2. So we know this equation is y equals 5x plus 5 over 2. Same thing for the next one. 5x minus y equals 3. Again, we have to put this one in a slope-intercept form. We have to get y by itself. So what should I do first? Subtract 5x from both sides. So that way 5x minus 5x goes to 0. They cancel each other out. We're left over with negative y equals negative 5x plus 3. Negative y equals negative 5x plus 3. And then divide both sides by negative 1 to get rid of that negative. We're dividing the left whole side, so that means the right whole side needs to be divided. So y equals negative 5x divided by negative 1 plus 3 divided by negative 1. Which simplifies down. Negative 5 divided by negative 1. 5x. 3 divided by negative 1. Minus 3. So this becomes y equals 5x minus 3. Whew, now the hard part's done. So we have y equals 5x plus 5 over 2 and y equals 5x minus 3. Parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Parallel. Good, they have the same slope. Our slope is 5 for both of them. So we know they are parallel. Same slope, so we know they are parallel. Last question for this section. Before we go there, what questions do you have for me?
What if one of the 5s was negative?
Oh, good. So if it was positive 5 and negative 5, neither. Because they're opposite, but they're not reciprocals, and they're not the same.
So what if they were really, okay, so
What if it was like positive 5 and positive 1/5?
yeah.
Neither. I read your mind. I knew what you're talking about. So either way, it'd be neither. They have to be both. They have to be opposite signs, and they have to be reciprocals in order to be perpendicular. And they have to be exactly the same to be parallel. Good question.
What if the Y-intercept is?
Then it would be the same line, so they'd be considered parallel. Another good question. Or they would be considered the same line. We're going to see that in a minute today. What else? Good questions. Other questions for me? All right, let's work on this last problem for this section. Find the slope of a line that's parallel and the slope that's perpendicular to the following line. By looking at this, 3x minus 2y equals 2. Could I just see the slope by looking at it? No, why? Perfect. We have to put it into Y-intercept form first, the slope-intercept form first. So I need to solve for y, getting y by itself. Help me out. Perfect. We're going to subtract 3x from both sides. So we have negative 2y equals negative 3x plus 2. Divide both sides by negative 2. Remember, we're dividing both whole sides, so every term gets divided by negative 2. So y equals negative 3x divided by negative 2 plus 2 divided by negative 2. Which can then be simplified. Y equals negative 3 divided by negative 2.
3 halves.
Positive 3 over 2, positive 3 halves. X. Positive 2 divided by negative 2.
Minus 1.
Minus 1. Perfect. So now it's in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So what is the slope of this line? 3 over 2. Good. So what will the slope of a parallel line be? Still 3 over 2. Good. So it's going to stay the same. And then last but not least, the slope of our perpendicular line. Perfect, negative 2 over 3. Our slope is positive, our new slope is going to be negative. It's 3 over 2, our new slope is going to be flipped, so it'll be 2 over 3. So those are our 2 answers because it was 2 parts. The parallel line slope and the perpendicular line slope. So that's all the notes for Module 9, Homework 1.